What's up, Giants fans? Welcome to another episode of Giants Talk. I'm Cole Kuiper here with Giants insider Alex Pavlovic. Baseball has been played in 2026, albeit meaningless baseball, but it does feel good to be back. We have spring training games to talk about. Plus, Alex sat down with Giants prospects Bo Davidson and Parks Harber. Before we get started, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Mancini Sleep World is kicking off the year with their President's Day sale, where you can save up to $1,200. Mattresses start at incredible prices, like Beauty Rest Queen mattresses starting at just $299. Plus, you can get 0% financing for up to 60 months, including on Tempur-Pedic, with payments starting as low as $29 a month. Just visit sleepworld.com. All right, Alex. We've got 2 whole baseball games in the books at this point. And the Giants, I know these are meaningless, but the Giants look good.
What do you mean meaningless? Reigning Cactus League champs are
Wait, that's a banner. That's a trophy, right?
It is. Just because we have fire alarms and kids running on the field afterwards doesn't mean it's. My son's old enough now where he got to round the bases after, which highly recommend.
Oh, yeah.
Father. Also, the ushers here, I feel like when they saw that it was my kid, they stopped everybody so he's tiny.
Wow.
Which is very nice of him if any of them listen to Giants Talk. But I told him to touch second base, and he literally kneeled over and touched second base.
Nice.
So we've got some work to do.
Yeah. No, keep him on that base. Don't let him get pulled off and get called out.
Spring training for everybody. Missed first and third and touched second with his hand. So we did great. Next year will be better.
Baby steps, literally.
Baby steps, literally. 2 games, I think, weirdly, it's 2 meaningless spring training games. We know how the Cactus League title worked out last year.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know where they hung that flag, but it did not go great.
Is it not in Papago somewhere?
They should hang a flag somewhere, but
yeah,
either that or you and I will. But
absolutely.
In a weird way, a lot to react to. Not just weird stuff, but some actual meaningful things for young pitchers.
Well, let's go down beat by beat. You started off with young pitchers, so I guess number 1, let's mention Hayden Birdsong. Hayden Birdsong started game 1 of spring training, and he didn't get much past starting that game. We've talked a lot about how a new and improved version of him is integral to the success in the 2026 year. So what do we think about this kicking off spring training with him?
Well, if there's one guy who you would not want to have the, 1/3 of an inning, 5 earned runs the first time out, is Hayden, who we have not seen since it went really poorly for him last year. He felt good about his offseason work. He felt good about his fastball command on Saturday. Velocity is there. The changeup is there for him. It's tough. This is a really tough thing to evaluate because he was not at all happy with his cutter. He said he tried to scrap his cutter altogether. They want him to keep throwing it because they want that movement profile. They want him to have that. And on top of that, every young pitcher in camp is fired up about their cutter. And Christian Wonders is giving it all of them a really good template, they believe. And I talked to Trent Harris today, who's similar, felt good about it. So Hayden's on the other side just doesn't feel good with that pitch. It's something they obviously want him to work on. He's out there, in a regular season, it's probably a little bit more here's the changeup. It's a really good changeup. Good luck with it. He's out there working on things, and he gives up 5 runs. At the same time, I know he wasn't as bummed about it, and Tony Vitello said, I thought he threw fine. That's just not the guy you want to see give up a lot of runs this spring. You were hoping to see a little more dominance out of him, a little more consistency in the zone a little bit more. He did walk a couple guys. He's not spraying it, but walked a couple guys, put himself in a tough spot, and then put a fastball in a bad spot. And just like that, it's grand slam, and his day is done. So he'll be out there again soon, but not a great start to his spring.
Yeah. All right. We'll get more looks at Hayden Birdsong as spring training goes on. Hopefully this is not something we end up circling back to as a sign that something was wrong early, but I have high hopes, put it that way. What about Blade Tidwell? One of the guys the Giants got along with Drew Gilbert last year in the trade. What do we think?
It's interesting because it's, we've talked so much about Hayden from the perspective of they need somebody to step up and maybe be like an 8th inning guy, maybe a 9th inning guy, or maybe be a solid piece when something happens to this rotation, which we know something will happen to this rotation. And we've talked about Hayden from that perspective. Another big, hard-throwing right-hander, Blade Tidwell, somebody we would have seen last year if not for just a brief injury scare. In September, he was awesome. He struck out 3, walked 1. I hate the term sweeper, but I think for him it's a true sweeper.
There we go.
It is a real sweeper breaking ball. Velocity is always going to be there for him. So he was the one who's – and look, I've been on record here. I believe Ryan Walker's going to be fine. But, if you're looking for somebody else other than him who looks like they could pitch a 9th at some point this season, he was the first one that stood out to me is just a big dude throwing hard with a good breaking ball, and that works if you're in the zone. And I thought he looked really good. Obviously, the numbers say that as well, but just beyond that, just looked really comfortable and somebody they really liked last year. So kind of the opposite of Birdsong's first outing. You're looking for somebody to break through this spring, and through the first 2 games, through the first weekend, this is, we are 2 games into a month plus here of games. But if you're who's the guy who might surprise for the next month and just be in that opening day bullpen? Right now, it has to be Blade Tidwell.
Tidwell, 3 strikeouts in his 1 inning. And I don't know how long Birdsong would have ideally gone under Vitello in that first game, but we got to look at a lot of bullpen arms because he ended up leaving so early. So Blade Tidwell was 1.
Yeah,
but you were there
for everybody right now.
Okay.
Other than Logan Webb, who's a special case.
That makes sense. Of the other 8 guys, 9 different pitchers showing up, 8 to 10, I guess, with Birdsong only going a third of an inning. Who else stood out?
It's from a perspective of, again, this is meaningless baseball, but it's not for the relievers. And basically everybody who took the mound after Birdsong for the last 2 days, has thrown up a 0. And you go through it at, Carson Seymour today, Tristan Beck today, Spencer Bivens, San Martin today. Trent Harris gave up a couple hits, but got out of it. So they've done a nice job bullpen wise. And then I go back to Saturday and it was similar. I thought Caleb Killian, throwing 99 this early in camp, you just go, okay. So it's
that's fair.
That's about what the highest has been in the big leagues. So you figure there's a little bit more in the tank when there needs to be. But I thought that was something that certainly caught my attention. Nick Zwack was a name from the past. He was part of the J.D. Davis, Darren Ruff heist. He threw really well in the 9th inning. I mean, just stuff-wise, threw really well. So he's not at all part of this competition. He's not even in big league camp. But just another one where you kind of go, I'll maybe remember that. And then Michael Fulmer stands out to me as he's a veteran. He's been there. He's been in the big leagues a ton. He has the experience that I think Tony will want in this bullpen that does not have experience. He has closed games in the big leagues. The stuff doesn't jump off the charts, but, just like a workman, go out there and command the ball well and get 2 strikeouts the first time out. And I could see him doing that all spring. And you just kind of go, all right, well, he's a pretty easy pick. He's been there before. So that was the other guy I think that I wanted to highlight.
For me, I mean, it was mostly just being able to experience baseball again. So I'm glad you were watching it with the eye to think about who might be making the team or who makes sense. Because I was basically just eating a hot dog at home, watching clips and watching games.
Did you make hot dogs for the first game?
I grilled them in my backyard.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, that was my move. What about Vitello?
He's 2-0.
He's 2-0.
I think a little bit more comfortable. Even in our media sessions with him, just a little more starting to understand a little bit the routine. Fully beyond the drama of last week. It seems like it's good for him just to have a couple games in. He got interesting thing for me was he gets smoked on Saturday, and we asked, how's your first game? And he's like, well, I got hit by a foul ball. That's the lesson I learned. And I look up Sunday and he's standing in the exact same spot. So
Good. Don't
Um,
flinch.
he's going to be stubborn about it, and he's broken his face twice, he said, as a coach. So
Wow.
I would stand behind a net, but he's on the top step there. He wants an up close view of everything, and it's really close to the plate here. So
Yeah.
But 2-0, nothing really stood out one way or the other. It's not a whole lot for him to do in these games other than go out there. There's a lot for him to do, but just from our perspective, like, we're not sitting there going like, I don't know about that 8th inning pitching move.
Yeah, of the 9 pitching changes he made on Saturday, I don't know that I agree with the last 3.
Yeah, this is not even a knock on him. This is every manager, I think, is this way. He might not even know like who's coming into the game next, because it's not, again, like every spring training manager is going to be that way. Like, you have a lot going on, and you're a pitching coach. You're just like, make sure all these guys get in there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes also guys have an inning that they're set to pitch, and then somebody runs into trouble, and you literally are getting like a minor leaguer up in the first inning, which happened on Saturday, to hey, we need someone to go finish this inning off. So
exactly.
It's all weird, but yeah.
The other pitching related thing that has to do with coaching, pitching, and basically everything that will be hovering around for 2026 is, of course, the ABS system. We got our first look at it. Willy Adames coming out as the early winner of ABS challenges. But what was your reaction seeing it in person?
Well, I saw it last spring, and it was love at first sight.
Yeah.
And I think we're on the same page here.
I'm totally fine with it. I'm a get the call right guy.
Yeah, just 100%. This is awesome. It's fast. It's a nice little wrinkle to the game. Like it's something that I can imagine. Like, my son's not old enough, but I can imagine kids will have a blast with it. Just the moment of look out there and we're zooming in. Everyone's the anticipation. I just think it's great from all respects. And yeah, Willie had one today that was like, it said less than 1/10 of an inch.
Ooh.
Which is, and I put it on my Instagram and on my Twitter. If people want to go look at it, like, it's as close as it gets. And actually made an impact because he struck out and he got to keep hitting. Now he hit a ground ball, so it wasn't like a dramatic Willie got the challenge, hit a grand slam. But it did, as he said, it's like would have gone 0 for 3. Got to go in there, or would it? I don't know. He had a couple strikeouts, but he's just got to go in there and get a run home at least. So benefit him there. I thought the most interesting one of the weekend was on Saturday. Jose Buto has a call that's inside. I think it was a slider inside, and he kind of tilts his head. Like, I don't know about that call. And Andrew I'll say this a million times, Andrew. It's Daniel Suzak is behind the plate, and he nods towards like inside, like, hey, that was inside. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And Buto, I don't even know if he saw that. He taps his head and taps his hat, and Suzak's behind the plate and kind of shook his head like,
come on, man.
No, don't do this. And it was not even close. So I thought after Saturday we're going to get to a point where it's basically like Patrick Bailey and his backups get to challenge everything, and that's it. Because I think with the one thing we know about this, and pitchers they will admit it, is they want every call, and they're finishing their windup and they look down and they go, that was wrong. And so I don't think we're going to see a lot of pitchers. I thought it was going to be almost exclusively catchers, but it was interesting today with Willie. It was a reminder that there's some value in those spots, and especially with some of the big guys, especially in a situation like that. Like, you can imagine, I think the bases were loaded, not 2 outs, but you can imagine bases loaded, 2 outs, a similar play during the season. And he goes, well, you got it. Like, he thought it was further out than less than 1/10 of an inch, but you have to challenge that anyway, just because you can get another shot, and maybe Devers is behind you, and if you can walk, it's going to be really interesting. I think it's a nice wrinkle added to the season. We also saw on Saturday, like, Oliva challenged one, and he was wrong, and it was the 8th inning, and they ran out. But Tony's told these guys, like, we don't want him in our back pocket at the end of the game. So
use him.
Yeah, and I will say too, at the scoreboard here, new scoreboard at Scottsdale Stadium, I'm looking at it right now. It's runs, hits, errors, ABS, and MVR. So it's like challenges. The Cubs ran out. Giants had 1 left, and mound visits remaining. Cubs had 3. Giants had 1. So all these little additions the last few years, but this one I'm just 100% on board with.
Yeah. of course, this will be a really interesting year of growing out how that feels in the big league world.
You're watching from home. Like, I love it at the ballpark, but from home, is interesting?
Not really. I think the moment you keep talking about where you're at the game and everyone in the stadium turns to look at the scoreboard to see it in action is going to be where it really feels right. Or maybe just the fact that the games don't matter doesn't make it feel that special yet from home. But the exact situations you're describing, when it does change the momentum of a game because something gets corrected, I think is going to, it'll make this all worth it.
Yeah. I think there's going to be some other little things too. Like Suzak was telling me they do track stats in the minor leagues, and it's a little hit and miss there because some of the pitcher ones go on the catchers. So they're like, hey, my percentage is better than that. That was my guy. He was a little cocky out there. But I would guess with the way Major League Baseball is now at Baseball Savant and how good everything is, like we'll have access to things like who's the best and who's the worst. And from our perspective, that's a nice little – what if there's someone on this team who's 0 for 6 through the first month? It's a fun little talking point.
Absolutely is.
I love that stuff as well.
Yeah. Other minor details or notes? I mean, obviously Giants had a really weird triple play. I don't know if that's even considered a true triple play. Is that like a little league triple play?
Man, the Cubs base runners today, I don't know who their third base coach is. That poor guy is
what should have been a bloop single, I guess, turned into a little league triple play.
I've been doing this. This is year 15 for me, which seems crazy. I have never seen a triple play live.
Really?
So bad. So I don't know if that counts. Spring training triple play doesn't count. I got a perfect game my first year. I got an MVP season to cover. I covered a World Series. I still know in-person regular season triple play.
Wow. All right. We'll keep an eye out for you for that one. But yeah, very weird moment there. Spring training, again, doesn't matter, but fun. Anything else? How's Jung-Hoo Lee looking right?
Made a nice play today. Again, Cubs third base coach did not have a great day.
Bad send. Close play at the plate, but great throw, great play.
It's a little, it's one of those, we've talked about it a lot, just as much as you can appreciate Harrison Bader's defense in center field. The fact that Jung-Hoo, the best thing he does is throw. And now it's like, hey, go play right field. And Oracle, when you go towards center, you're basically a center fielder as the right fielder. But otherwise, as long as you earn the bricks, which he will, like you have a lot of chances to throw.
Yeah.
So, it's shorter out there, and there's a lot of balls off the bricks where guys get caught at second. So I think he's going to have some fun with that this year. And we'll see where he ends up with the range and with the jumps and all those things. But the arm, at least, is going to be huge.
Yeah. All right. I want to do a brief recap of some of the fun remembering some guys, old friends we saw as the Giants took on the Mariners on Saturday.
You forgot the fire alarm during Robbie Ray's.
Of course. Yeah. Weird outing for Robbie Ray.
Apparently someone's smoking in the bathroom. Our friend Anthony Garcia was here, and he texted me, "Are you leaving?" And I was looking out, and I'm like, well, if Robbie Ray's not leaving, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
A weird one. I guess that we found out afterwards, Tony told us the umpires had someone had told them in a headset or something. Someone had communicated to them that it was a false alarm.
Yeah.
But nobody communicated that to the Giants. So they're all just kind of like, why are we still out here? But weird, that is one of the weirdest innings in spring training history, that Robbie Ray pitching through a fire alarm and
getting all three outs at once.
Yeah.
All right. Want to do a brief recap of some of the faces we saw as the Giants took on the Mariners, who turned out to have a surprisingly robust collection of former Giants and old friends. Connor Joe, I think we mentioned him already. How about Patrick Wilson getting in on the early damage on Hayden Birdsong? You can't fault Hayden Birdsong for that.
Patrick Wisdom, is that your guy?
That is one of my guys. I hold him up there as like an all-time Giants killer. Yeah. I pulled up his stats. He's got like a 244 batting average against the Giants with, 8 RBIs. In my mind, it was double that.
Same. I have him on my giant killer list, and that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it must have just been like 2 or 3 games with a couple clutch plays, but my mind is blown by this. This is a Mandela effect. Will Wilson,
Connor Joe,
Joe,
Forever Giant Justin Dean was with the Cubs on Sunday. Damon Minor was here. He's a coach for the Cubs now, so landed in a nice spot after being let go here. So a lot of old friends early on.
A lot of old friends. And then do we consider Phil Cuzzy an old friend?
I've written a lot of stories about Phil Cuzzy.
You have.
So he's the
friend of the pod.
He's out, right?
He is out. He's retired.
Let me pull up some of my I covered the Phil Cuzzy Travis Ishikawa game. Was that 2011, 10, something like that? It's just he's an all-timer. He was part of the Jung-Hoo Lee thing last year in Philly. That was Phil Cuzzy. Yeah, some of my headlines here. Jung-Hoo Lee, Jordan Hicks explained back and forth with Phil Cuzzy.
It was always fun to see the umpire scorecards on Twitter after a Phil Cuzzy game.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to like Andrew McCutcheon in a story being mad at him, Brandon Crawford. It's just, Phil Cuzzy.
Yeah. One of the greats.
Farewell. No surprise. Yeah, it's all these guys have had it with him. He's, Phil Cuzzy, you had a career.
You had a career. You had one. All right. I want to get to some mailbag.
By the way, who's next? Like Joe West is gone, Phil Cuzzy gone.
I don't really think there is a hated current ump. We got to change that. Who is the main character? Yeah.
It might be hard with ABS and challenges and all that.
Yeah, ABS itself could take the place.
Yeah, it might. But I'm as much as we make fun of Phil, like a couple of years from now, we might be like, remember when we used to have umpires to get mad at once a year?
Yeah, I remember we would actually have umpires as characters. Thing.
He was a character. We'll give him that.
Yeah. All right. We have mailbag questions, and you have interviews with Bo Davidson and Parks Harber. Before we get to that, though, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Every mattress is backed by Mancini's Rest Easy Promise, which includes a 365-night comfort guarantee, where you can try your mattress for a full year. If it's not the right fit, they'll make it right. Free next-day delivery and old mattress removal, where you can buy today, sleep better tomorrow with no extra cost, and a best price guarantee. If you find a better deal, they'll beat it. Just visit sleepworld.com. Okay, we have mailbag questions here as spring training has begun. As always, if you have a question you'd like us to answer on Giants Talk, feel free to hunt Alex or myself down on social media, wherever you can find us, and send it our way. First question is from Cameron. Cameron says, I kind of like the idea of let's grab an injured pitcher while they're available and hopefully get some contribution when they get healthy. It has been a thing with both Buster and Farhan. I feel like they mostly get DFA'd or traded. Can you talk about some guys that actually made an impact for the Giants who were grabbed as injured pitchers?
Great question. I also love the idea of grabbing injured guys. I know it's it's low-hanging fruit on social media, especially after an offseason like this, when kind of all the late moves or all the bullpen moves in particular. And, it's the Giants get it when they're sending out a press release and it says we signed the guy to a 1-year deal and he had Tommy John and maybe we'll have him next year. I just think in general, it's a good way to, similar to like how the international market, great way to spend your money. $5 million on Luis Hernandez.
Yeah.
Great way to spend your money. Because you're going to spend it anyway. I think this is a good way as well. The most notable recent example that popped into my head was John Brebbia, who signed while rehabbing Tommy John. He was not good when he returned, but they had him under team control. He had a 3.18 ERA in 2021, and they ended up paying him $1.6 million for 2 years. So rehabbed a lot, and then you get one really good year out of him. And you would pay for what he gave him that year. Like you would pay someone $10 million for that guarantee. So I think that's the one that stands out. The 3 guys the Giants have currently, the 3 injured relievers they signed, they're going to make like $3 million total this year. So only 2 of them are options to pitch, but like if Foley comes back in August or comes back in June, and then in August it's just like fully back and is awesome, like you make that money back pretty quickly. So I'm a fan of this. The other thing I'll just say is the Dodgers do this a lot, and just did it with one of their own, with Evan Phillips, who's getting like $6 million as he recovers from Tommy John. So I think it's smart.
Would you fold Robbie Ray into this narrative? I know it was a trade, not a signing, but he had half a season to cook before he got his first appearance with the Giants, and that seems like it's been well worth it.
Yeah, I would. There's a lot going on there, and the Mariners trying to get out from some money. But if you are willing to be patient, and it's hard, but if you're willing to be patient with these guys who are recovering, I think over time you're going to end up well ahead of the game, just in terms of the way that we value what you get out of guys. So yeah, Robbie Ray's a great example. Like, let's say he has a solid year this year. Great first half last year. He ran out of steam in the second half, but gives him a good year this year as a good number 2 or number 3. Like, they are going to end up doing really, really well just by being like, we'll complete the rehab for Robbie.
Yeah.
And we'll deal with, they dealt with the initial, I know he was great at Dodger Stadium, but they dealt with the hurdles after that. So yeah, that's a great example.
AJ asks, do you have predictions on how long it'll take for Tony Vitello's first ejection? This is a fun one.
I don't, you know what? I believe we did ask him that recently, and there's a Tony Vitello show coming up with me and Tony and Bonte Hill. We had a lot of fun. We also did one with Logan Webb and one with Lily Adamas. So those are all coming. I believe we asked Tony that question, so I'll kick that to them. Do you have a prediction? Is this going to be your bold prediction?
I'm not going to make this an official bold prediction, but I do think we'll see one in the first, I'll say by May.
Okay.
By May, I imagine he'll be playing extra nice early April, the first couple of homestands, including the Yankees series. But like Dodgers at home in that late April, that could be interesting. You fire the team up, but yeah, by May, early in the season.
Okay. Maybe that first real homestand. Maybe the first real road trip is probably the most, if you're trying to like psychoanalyze this. Like, they have a tough early schedule. Maybe they get to Cincinnati and he's just like, I'm tired of this.
I need to sneak out early and get the boys fired up.
I don't know. It's funny because it's, as he's told us, like, there's obviously all these clips, and he's like, some of my best explosions never even made it to social media because it was before the schools got good or before that some of these games were broadcast. But I think also generally he seems he's intense, but like not yelling a whole lot. So
yes,
it's a great question. I think it'll be interesting.
Nathaniel asks, when a player is injured or rehabbing with one team's medical staff and then gets traded, how does that handoff actually work? Do the two clubs' medical staffs share detailed info, almost like when you switch doctors and your records get transferred, outlining where a player is in their rehab plan and what's recommended next? Basically, how connected are medical staffs across Major League Baseball when it comes to player health and ongoing treatment? And how inclined would the Giants be to continue certain things or take on their own rehab approach? This is the kind of thing that I'm sure is a huge deal for trading guys. Yeah. It never even occurred to me, like the transfer of rehab plans or recovery recommendations and that kind of thing. Do you follow what the original plan was? Yeah. Do you come up with your own? This is fascinating.
It's a great question. I think, the good teams probably are communicating a lot and help, being good to players because word gets around. And I've heard from players who have signed here who have been rehabbing that they've signed here or have had injury issues in the past that they've signed here specifically because of the training staff. And
good.
Dave Greshner, congratulations on the promotion. He just got a VP title, but they've really done a good job over the years. And one thing I have written a lot over the years and said a lot is if you think about how pitching star centric this organization has been, really for the last 2 decades. And then also think about how healthy they have managed to keep those guys. Like Bumgarner's big injury was a a dirt
off
bike.
the field. Yeah.
Off the field. Matt Cain had bone chips that he was able to pitch to for years, and then it finally caught up to him. Timmy just ran out of juice. But, it seems like a rite of passage in some organizations where you have a young pitcher come up and you're excited, and then he has Tommy John.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been the case here. I mean, Johnny Cueto had it. There have been other guys over the years, but they've really kept guys healthy, and they've done a great job with Logan the last few years. And so I think they do a great job of that, and I'm sure they get all this information. Just to the people who don't, like, AJ Preller has specifically been suspended for this. He didn't give the Red Sox proper information in a Drew Pomeranz trade years ago. It was like a 30-day suspension. And then the thing that comes to mind for me is, and this is not, I don't think, a lack of info, but the Carlos Correa debacle. The Giants were stunned with the lack of, it wasn't information that was passed along to them because they got the whole medical file from his whole playing career. They were stunned by the lack of tests that had been done on Correa's ankle in Minnesota. And it was, so that was part of the issue when that happened. And this is no breaking. I mean, I've written this in my book and this has been out there, but like part of the issue, and then the Mets did the same thing, was like they started doing stuff that had not been done on him the last couple of years and checking some things out. And they went, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
So, a lot of it is like who you get. I would guess, and this is not just me complimenting these guys, I would guess if you make a trade with the Giants, you probably get a pretty good report back from just because of what they do on a medical side.
Yeah, no, it's cool hearing the Giants are like well known around the league for things like this. For a while, it was retooling pitchers who needed one or two things tweaked. If rehabbing guys and getting them right is kind of their secret superpower around the league, that's pretty awesome.
And just if you think about the major injuries that they've dealt with in recent years, and kind of what do we always talk about, like concussions from guys getting hit by balls, Brandon Belt getting hit by balls.
Don't throw baseballs at them.
Yeah, I mean, there's Buster's play in 2011, but again, Dave Greshner did a great job of leading that rehab and getting him back ready for 2012.
Yeah, the general wear and tear hasn't seemed to be an issue over the past decade in San Francisco.
It's mostly, and I've been doing this for 15 years. Like, it's mostly at the end of every year when I look back at everything, most of their major injuries are more like fluke things. Like last year, the big one on the position player side was Matt Chapman, and it's a hand thing from sliding. So it's like, it's not a wear and tear. It's not something the training staff has control over.
Their brand new international guy running into a wall.
A great example. Yeah. So you cannot prevent that at all. But the things that you can't prevent anything, but the things they can prevent, like to an extent they have control over, I think they do a really good job.
Yeah. All right. One more question before we get to your interviews from Enrique. Enrique says, when are we getting some Giants Talk merch? Personally, I've loved something in the style of the BP hats from this year. Alex, I don't know. Oh, you have a Giants Talk hat. I have a Giants Talk hat.
This is your department.
Kind of bootlegged those. I certainly do not own the IP to Giants Talk, so I don't know that I have the authority to be giving our listeners Giants Talk merch. So we might have to go to our bosses and get something approved.
You're a merch king, but it's bootlegged. Like
it is. It's certainly bootlegged. I have a table set up on the Embarcadero for opening day, and I'll be slanging Giants Talk hats there.
You could do that. I have a Giants Talk hat from you, and I have a Gene Segura t-shirt from you.
You do.
It's my favorite t-shirt. And also, like, probably we would get in trouble within 5 minutes if we actually tried to make that shirt. But I also feel like, I think if I tweeted it, we could probably sell like 300 in those 5 minutes from the people who were there for that. So
the people who don't mind that dead horse still getting beat. That's the kind of joke you can never let go.
You know, I will say, sometimes I hear something like this. I'm like, nobody in their right mind wants Giants Talk merch other than me and Cole. I will also say, walking around the ballpark today, I've probably met 20 Giants Talk listeners just in the limited time that I was outside of the press box.
Yeah.
So, and it's constant, like same thing at the game yesterday. So as we always appreciate all of you guys, and especially the ones who that you and I get to meet, like we're always appreciative of that. So it's a reminder. Sometimes you're sitting at home. I'm just sitting in a booth here at Scottsdale Stadium, and just talking, and it goes out there, and then it's cool to like come here and meet everybody. And so shout out to everybody in general, but the ones we meet, it's always fun.
Yeah, shout out to our listeners. It's been a weird couple of years that we've been doing this podcast. Some one really high season, some mid seasons, and I think we have an exciting season ahead of us. So I'm glad we've been able to do this with people, and people are enjoying it.
And I will, from a business perspective, I can just say our podcast is doing great, and it's because of our listeners. And I'm always kind of amazed at the end of the year. I just kind of assume that I'm like, there had to be 35 people listening by September when it was 81 and 81. Like, no, there's no way we retain. But no, you guys are all great.
Yeah, so it's been fabulous. All right, with that, after we're done patting ourselves and our listeners on the back, let's get to it's all about the listeners
regardless.
Let's get to your chat with Bo Davidson and Parks Harber. Alex, anything we need to know going into these? Is this a 2-on-1, or is this two separate chats? Where was this done?
Two separate chats. Two guys I'm just really curious about this spring. Two guys who I think have a real chance to impact them down the line. I mean, Bo's just such a good athlete, and you just watch the way he moves here, and he's obviously gotten off to a great start here. I think Tony talks a lot about guys with limited reps, like Bryce Eldridge is from a northern state, wasn't playing baseball year round because it's snowing in Virginia all winter. And I think Bo's a little similar in that he came from a rougher background. He admits it. He said it in this interview. Didn't always he's not getting to do the full travel ball thing. And he gave up baseball at some point. He played at a small college. So I don't think there are a lot of reps there for him. And but that makes him fascinating because you watch him play and you go, this guy's just really talented. So a real chance, I think, to be a center fielder of the future here, or a big part of the outfield down the line. And then Parks is someone we've talked about a lot because he was part of the trade deadline last year. He's done a lot of work the last few months to get in better shape. He's, I think, we talked about that a little bit after the interview, just very self-aware about what he needs to do to be a big league caliber player right now. And I'm really fascinated to see what he looks like in the outfield this spring, because he's been a corner guy, he's been a third baseman, a first baseman, and I'm really curious to see, like, is the transition easy for him when he's out there? And they're set right now, but at some point they won't be set. And the thing with him, and I've talked to Giants scouts who saw him, and they're like, we saw him in high school and he could hit. He's just always been this guy who hits. So two guys I'm really interested in watching this spring, and two guys I think I wouldn't put it past either one of them to push for a promotion later this year. The Giants want to move guys slowly, but they should be Double-A together to start the year and have a chance to move up. And I think they're guys that Giants fans should be watching, and also guys that one of the reasons I wanted to slide them in here, and we have Willie coming up, and Logan and Matt Chapman and Luis Arias and all the veterans coming up in March, but I don't think people have gotten to know these guys very much. So I hope people get a chance to at least get to know them a little bit, and then you can follow them this year in Double-A, Triple-A, and maybe up here.
With that, let's toss to Bo Davidson and Parks Harber with Alex. Get to know some of the future San Francisco Giants.
All right, Bo Davidson. First of all, first couple of days in big league camp, what's it been like being in this clubhouse with former All-Stars, batting champs, all that?
It's hard to believe, honestly. It's still like haven't set hone in on me yet. So but at the end of the day, it's like we all meant to be here. So it's a great feeling to be out there with them, learning from them.
I would imagine you thought this was possible, just given where you finished last year. Do you remember getting the call, whether it was Zach or Kyle or Randy, somebody telling you that you'd be here this spring?
That was exciting. I got that. That was like a face-to-face conversation. That wasn't even a phone call, honestly.
What were the emotions there? Who do you call after that and tell that you're going to big league camp?
I told my lady. I told her, and then I told my family. And for them, it's pretty much like keep working, because they knew I can do it. So it's just like keep working. You're almost there.
Is there anybody in there that you're really eager to, whether it's batting practice or in the outfield, spend some time with and learn from?
Not too much. I'm filling out all the guys, so I feel like I treated it all equal. so I get equal information from all of them.
It's obviously an interesting path for you to get here, being undrafted. What did you know the Giants kind of had been keeping an eye on you before that? Did you have a sense of the interest they had around draft time?
Yeah, I met DJ Halls, DJ Jazz. I'm sorry if I messed that up. Earlier in my season, they have been following me throughout the majority of it.
What was that whole experience with the draft and then afterwards like for you? It's a little bit different than most of the guys in that clubhouse.
I didn't see my name on draft day, so I knew it was time to go back to school. And literally, I went to the mall, got some food, and as I'm driving, I got a phone call from Paul, and saying the Giants wanted to sign me.
What's been like the funnest part about that for you as you make your journey here? I mean, do you have a chip on your shoulder from that, or how do you view all that?
For me, I feel like I've always been a dog everywhere I've been. I've always made an impact, so like I don't really look at it too much alone, like having a chip on my shoulder. I say I just have a like driven mentality because of where I come from. So like that's more of the chip on my shoulder more so than baseball.
Tony talked the other day, and I was asking about your defense, and he said he reminds me a little bit of like a defensive back, that I think there's just a ton of confidence, and if there's a mistake, he's going to right away get up and just move past that. What do you view yourself that way? As someone who's just a very confident player?
I do. When I'm in the outfield, it's like you're playing DB or you're playing safety. Like you're just a ball hawk. You just go to it, go get it.
How important is it to you? You know, obviously this is an organization where guys have moved around a little bit, to be a center fielder and stick as a center fielder as you get to the big leagues.
Honestly, when I first came in, I was everywhere. So last year was my first full year center field. So I don't know how the org's viewing me as a center fielder, but my mentality just, I play anything, I play everywhere, whichever gets the start.
This is obviously a big year for you starting in Double-A, but you're in a position now where if you have a really good start to the year, I mean, you could get to Sacramento and could put yourself in a spot here. Is it hard not to think about that? Like you're 2 steps away now from being here?
I don't really think of it too much. I try to be where my feet are for the most part, but I have thought about it. Like, yeah, you are literally sometimes a phone call away.
Yeah.
Depending on if they're really feeling it.
I was doing some research on you, and it looks like you played high school football against Drake May.
I did, and basketball.
And basketball. What was that like?
Big dude. Like when we had to do coin toss, it was like he was hovering over me, so he's like a big dude. It was a fun game, even though we lost. But
were you the quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay, so quarterback against Drake May. Yeah. What was it like watching him this past season and in the Super Bowl?
I wished him nothing but the best. Like being from Charlotte, so like I support all the dudes from Charlotte, and I ain't really watch honestly, but I would support him. Any dude from North Carolina, Charlotte, I'm gonna support him for sure.
Your story in the past, I mean, you did have a little bit of a break from baseball. What was that like, and then getting back into it and maybe falling back in love with it? How did that happen for you?
I was just working, had some family things going on, and then my best friend told me like, hey, like come play with me. Like he just wanted us to play together again because in senior year our high school season got taken because of COVID. So it was just one of those things, and I went and played, and I ended up here.
I was asking some of the people who have done research about you. I'm like, what should I ask Bo? And one of them said, ask him why he's called Bo. I guess there's a story behind that.
So the original reason I got called Bo was my dad. You ever watched the movie Friday? Debo. So I used to Debo my brothers when I was little, like take the cars and all that. And then as I started playing sports and like they seen how I got the comparison like Bo knows the little Nike commercial because I was playing all sports. And then that's when it just went from Debo to like Bo knows, and then just ran off after that.
There you go. And here you are. Is there anybody this spring you're maybe on another team or on your own team you're looking forward to facing? Or when you do reach the big leagues, is there anybody you've always kind of looked at and said, I can't wait to dig in against that guy?
Skeens, man, Scooble.
Skeens and Scooble.
Yeah.
All right. Team USA's aces, along with your teammate Logan Webb. All right, Bo, welcome to big league camp. We'll keep an eye on it when you do get up here. We'll be ready for the Skeens and Scooble matchups.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Marks Harber, first of all, welcome to big league camp here in Scottsdale. The first question for you, is there anything that stood out the last couple of weeks? Anyone that you've been like amazed to meet or any experiences like that?
I think just getting knowledge from everyone, right? I think everyone in this clubhouse has, different roles and different experience. So it's like picking each person's brain, whether it's someone who's been in the league for 10 years or a guy who, is coming up through the minors, recently. So I think that's kind of been the coolest thing is you get a lot of different experiences.
They've done something cool with the scrimmages here. You guys get to play positions. What's it like standing there at third base and seeing like Rafi Devers and Willie Adames in the box and, Logan Webb on the mound?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think those are guys, you grew up watching and want to emulate, and they've had a lot of success. So it's like anything you can take away just from watching, right? Without you even needing to pick their brain, just how they handle their business and go about things on a daily basis. Willie just had a great at bat, so it's kind of learning from that, so stuff like that.
I always hesitate to ask younger guys this question now because I'm like, who did you grow up watching? And I'm like, I covered that guy. So, but who did you grow up watching? Who's your guy?
Yeah, I think my earliest memories of like the Braves being from Atlanta were like Chipper, kind of the tail end of his career. Jason Hayward coming up, like he was my guy I still remember when he debuted. But even, recently, I mean, it's been a lot of like Rafi Devers. I'm trying to think who else has been out there for a while. I mean, a lot of those Braves guys, Matt Olson, Freddie Freeman was a big one, obviously. Those are kind of the big guys I can think of.
I want to take you back to deadline day. It's obviously a huge deal in San Francisco. But for you, I mean, life-changing the way it happened. What do you remember about that day? How did you find out you got traded and, all the way across the country to San Francisco?
Yeah, we were in Wilmington, Delaware, playing the Wilmington Blue Rocks. And thankfully the game actually got canceled that day because of rain. So that saved me the mid-game come take me out of the dugout whole thing. So I was at the hotel, you get a call and it's just like, thank you for your time here at the Yankees, head over to the Giants, super excited. We appreciate what we've done here. I know the Giants are excited to have you, and I was fired up, right? I mean, any opportunity I can have, any team that, wants to take a chance on me, I'm going to, give them my all. So for me, it's exciting. I play this game because I love it. I play this game because I think you can get a lot of experience from it and really grow as a person. So moving around from Wilmington out to Eugene to Scottsdale, like it's been everything I could ask for.
Did you have a sense of maybe how big a deal? I mean, Camilo Duvall is an all-star closer here. You're a big part of this trade, and the Giants, I know they were very adamant he needs to be part of this. Did you have a sense at the time of how big a deal that trade was?
No, I mean, it was my first year in pro ball, so it's like my first trade deadline was unique. I didn't realize being with the Yankees too, who are they're big sellers, so trying to get guys to the deadline. So I didn't really understand until kind of the week before we had a lot of guys traded from our team, and then that kind of lets reality kind of set in. You're like, oh wow, this is a big part of the business. And so when that happened, it was just kind of I wasn't expecting it, but I was super grateful for it.
I want to take you back to high school. I asked some Giants scouts about you, and they're like, this dude could just always hit. That was the one thing about him. What's been your path from high school through two big-time colleges, to being undrafted and now being kind of, you're starting to get some prospect shine here?
Yeah, I think, hitting's always been kind of something that I've excelled in. I think, as you get into college, I think it was a little bit of a rocky road of some up and down and some stuff that I need to work on. But I think as I've matured and gotten older, I think I've understood how valuable so many of the little things are in part of the game, and little things turn into big things. That's a thing that was constantly preached throughout college. So it's understanding the importance of base running, the importance of defense, the importance of, little nuances as far as maybe a prep step on defense or a box adjustment, little things like that. I've started to focus more on those things as I've gotten older. And I think that's kind of carry into the big adjustments.
Obviously, everybody knows Bo was undrafted, the path he has taken. You kind of had the same path, and draft is smaller than it used to be. How did you end up with the Yankees out of college, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, I had 2 years in a row, my junior and senior year of college, where I was hoping to get drafted. And both days, you don't know what to expect. You hear some stuff here and there, but, nothing's ever concrete. And so it was a stressful day through that draft for sure. But luckily, I kind of had a thing set up with the Yankees, I think, towards the end of day 3. So before the draft was over, I felt pretty confident that something was going to work out. And then, the next day I was on a flight to Tampa. So it happened all really fast. Yeah.
You were at two big-time schools, like I mentioned. Tony was nearby. How much did you know about him? Did he recruit you at all? What was that experience like for you?
I played against him all 4 years. So at Georgia, we were in the same division, so I played him every year. And then at UNC, we played him in Omaha the year they won the national championship. And his energy is contagious, and he's a winner, right? So it's every time you played against a Tennessee team, you felt like they kind of had already beat you before you even showed up to the park because they had that confidence, they had that swagger, and they executed.
You're on his side now. Did you hate his teams when you were in the other dugout? They kind of had a rep the last few years.
Well, I think you just don't like losing, and they always beat us. So I think it was just kind of that was the biggest thing. You had a hard time beating them, and they always brought out guys, and their lineup were so deep. And so I think about my 4th year of college, and they beat me again in Omaha. It was just I wish I could have gotten one.
Yeah. The Arizona Fall League stats for you really stood out, and I think that's when a lot of scouts started to get on you. What clicked for you there?
I think just more experience, right? I'm an older guy out of college, but last year was my first pro ball experience, and so it was unfortunate that I had to miss some time, but the Giants were great with their communication and pretty much right after I got traded, I knew that I was going to go out to the fall league, and I knew that it was a big stepping stone for me. And you try not to put pressure on yourself, but also understand that, like, you really have one shot of the game these days, and you just got to take advantage of it. And so in the fall league, I knew that I was going to have to be consistent. It's a smaller sample size, but just understand that this is a step up. This is a place where I need to kind of take that next step, and the staff and everyone was great.
Matt Chapman's here at third base. Rafael Devers is at first base. You've gotten some outfield reps. You did some outfield in the fall league. Zach told us you're going to do some of that here. How comfortable are you right now in the outfield?
I'm comfortable out there. The more reps, the better, just because I always grew up as an infielder. But I'm happy to play anywhere. And outfield for me, it's a challenge, right? It's new. It's something that I can learn. And any position they want to put me at, I'm happy and I will do my best.
I'm going to read this tweet. Twin brothers Parks and Robson Harber, who play for historical rivals Westminster and Lovett, are battling for the 3A baseball title. Can you tell that story? You and your twin brother went to different schools and then faced each other for a baseball title?
Yeah, it's more common than you think. It's hard for people to understand. Where I grew up, it's more common than you think. But yeah, it was. That is exact truth. Where he went Lovett, I went to Westminster, and they are that's our biggest rival. And so you grow up playing Little League with all those guys, then you go to different high schools, and yeah, we won game 1. We should have won game 2. I blew it on the mound, and then game 3, I think we lost by a run or two, and that was in 2018. And I still hear about it pretty much on a monthly basis.
Yeah. So he has bragging rights going back to high school, but you're in big league camp now.
Yeah, because it was not only him though, but it was like him and like 4 of my other best friends were also on that Lovett team. So it's like we'll still go out, and I hear about it like all the time.
I'll finish with this. You mentioned you're an Atlanta guy. What is the other non-baseball stuff for you? There's sports teams there have had some rough times as you've been growing up. What's your rooting interest? Is it Falcons? Is it Hawks? How have you viewed all that?
I'm a little fair weather when it comes to the Hawks. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals a while back, and I got locked in. But I'm a pretty diehard Falcons fan, and so it's been rough. But I think we're on the come up, and I think each year there's a lot of hope coming into the season. And I went to my fair share of games at Mercedes this past year, and I'll do the same thing next year. I'll always be there.
You had a rough Super Bowl a few years ago.
Oh yeah, that was my freshman year of high school. I remember it. Like that was. It's been tough.
Sorry to bring it up. Parks, welcome to Big League Camp. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.